Hey, these brothers. I want to tell you something, man. The future version of yourself will always be your best advisor, man. The future version of yourself will always be your best advisor. You know, and I know the Bible says, seek ye wise counsel. And when we hear those type things, we're thinking about, reaching out to mentors and all kind of stuff and talking to people that have done it and all these things, man. And those resources are important. But what I've learned in life, man, is that like the future version of yourself will always be the best advisor. Because the future version of yourself is directly connected to your vision. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the problem comes in when you start reaching out to sources outside of yourself. Nobody sees your vision like you do. Nobody feels that frequency like you feel it. So the best advisor is always going to be you, right? But to break it down on what I mean, man, think about, or I'll just say this. I can think about when I turned 30 years old, 30-ish, in that range, right? I can remember looking back saying, man, if I knew what I knew right now at 20, oh man, life would be completely different. I would be moving different. I would have, everything would be different because, of course, hindsight is 20/20. So I can remember, man, going through my 30s, and I can remember, just learning life lessons, relationships, money, the whole shebang, jobs. And I can remember when I turned 40, I don't know if I heard something, I don't know what it was, man, but something made me put myself in an energy of my 50-year-old self. I said, you know what? I'm 40 years old. What advice would my 50-year-old self give me? And I would have a version I would have a full conversation, man, with that version of myself. And that version of myself could always help me navigate through life, through what I was going through, because it was operating from that end goal. You know what I'm saying? It would allow me to make sense of a lot of the trials and tribulations I was going through, man, because those trials and tribulations are what made that 50-year-old version of myself what it was, man. You know what I'm saying? So you have to I'm saying all this to say, hey, you have to find a way. And I'm saying that specifically, man, because, and I'm sure it's on everybody's timeline where, you see people coming online talking about, hey, man, life is handing me, life is life. And everybody's going through some degree of life, themselves, man. But I think the best way to navigate through what life is handing the world, man, is to go to your future self. In other words, first having a vision, because if you have no vision, we had a conversation the other day in the Power Circle, man. We were just breaking down the power of vision. You got to understand this. And I just want to pause it and sit in the parking lot of this real quick and get back to what I was saying. You got to understand that the reason why most people aren't moving forward, a lot of times it is life. A lot of times it is, man, the world is doing this, the prices are doing this, relationship. A lot of times that plays a part. But you got to understand, a lot of times people aren't moving forward, even if it's low crawling, is because there's no vision. Like you aren't living from somewhere except your current reality. There's nothing you're moving toward. And I'm not talking about an idea, because I break down the difference between an idea and vision in 4 levels of becoming. A lot of people just lack the vision, man. You know what I'm saying? And I can even look at myself. I can even look at my life when my life is moving fast or my life is stagnant. I can just pause when my life isn't doing the right thing and say, you know what? Let me check my vision. Let me make sure I'm operating from a place. And a lot of times, man, when I lock back in, I can look around and see why my life was stagnant, right? But a lot of reasons why people don't move forward is because they lack that vision. So when I mean that vision, meaning you're operating from that place, but not only that, there's a version of you in that space. Like when you're living in a different city, when you have this healthy relationship, when you have this perfect job, when you get to the perfect weight, whatever your scenario is, man, there's a version of you that resides there already. So that's the person you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? That's your like Napoleon put it in Outwitting the Devil. That's your other me. That's who you're getting your marching orders from. You know what I'm saying? That's who your counselor is. That's your best advisor. The highest version of you. You know what I'm saying? And it's literally having a conversation with yourself. First marriage of man. We can say it a million different ways. Is you joining forces with your higher self, learning how to navigate through the ways of life. Well, so God is my highest advisor. I'm not saying that's not the truth. But what does the Bible say? When two come together, that's when I show up. So it's when your lower self, your current self, connects with your higher self, God automatically inserts himself into the scenario. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're operating from this place of universal mind. And the advice that you would give yourself in this current scenario, if you're living from this current scenario, isn't the same advice you're going to give yourself if you're speaking to or if you're speaking to a 10-year lesser version of yourself, 5-year lesser version of yourself. You're giving yourself uncut information because you know you. You know every detail of your scenario. You know every detail of your vision. So all I'm saying is, man, we have to learn to listen to self. Self will get you out of any scenario you're in, but you have to listen to it and you have to act. You have to listen to it and you have to listen to it, man, and you have to act, man. You know what I'm saying? But the main thing is that vision. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a matter of, okay, how do I get it out the mud? I got this job, it's doing this. I got this scenario, I'm doing this. I really see no way out. Go to that future version, man. Go to that future version, man, and get the downloads. Go to that future version, man, and look back. Because it's like this. This is how I broke it down to my son several years ago. And I was kind of telling him this, man. And he was getting it. My son's very intelligent. He was getting it. But I said, think about, and my son was probably, I don't know, 15 then or whatever. He was younger, probably 2 or 3 years ago. I said, think about, you done went through middle school, you're in high school. Like, you know what that experience is like. You're there. Now, imagine you turning around and giving that same, set of instructions on how to navigate to somebody in the 3rd grade or 4th grade. A lot of what they're saying isn't going to make sense. I mean, a lot of what you're saying isn't going to make sense. Like they didn't see that barrier coming. They didn't see peer pressure coming. You know what I'm saying? But you can say, hey, you know what? This is what you're going to go through because you're here. You know what I'm saying? So when you project yourself to your future self and you embody it, again, I'm not talking about just thoughts. I'm not just talking about ideas. I'm talking about vision now. I'm talking about when you put yourself in a position where you've inserted yourself wholly in that scenario. And now you can feel everything, all the trials and tribulations, all the victories associated with that place you've created. Once you're there, man, now you and spent time in that place, now you can give guidance from that place. Now you can speak to your lower self and show that version of you how to get it out the mud, or like I say, how to fulfill the mission. Because that's really all it is. That's really all it is. And a lot of people don't talk about it. Not saying nobody talks about that, man, but a lot of people don't talk about that, man. A lot of people talk about going to that mental space and creating that world, or going to that mental space, man, and locking in that vision. But a lot of people leave it there. You got to understand, man, the whole point of you communicating, the whole point of you using your higher self as an advisor is to get the intel. But the second part of that is you have to fulfill the mission. You have to fulfill the mission. You know what I'm saying? Like that kills the whole conversation. Like when a lot of people say, oh, well, the ego needs to be dead, or the ego is nothing. Like, we're all spiritual beings. Like, no, it's a marriage. It's a marriage. Like there are certain limitations that our spirit version has that this ego has. Like, this ego can go and collect data and do recon and get information and take it to this spiritual world to build this vision. But that spiritual world can't make it manifest because it's not in the physical. So once you go to your advisor, which is the highest version of yourself, right? And you get that intel, you get those downloads, you have to fulfill the mission. How do you fulfill the mission, soul? What is you talking about, brother? You fulfill the mission, man, by matching the frequencies. Like when text or Bibles or whatever it says talks about, you know, bringing your heaven upon your earth, you have to understand it's specifically talking about matching frequencies, which means when you go into your mental space, right, when you become that 10-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-month-old down the road version of yourself that's completed the mission, the whole objective is to bring that energy back down here. In other words, you aren't feeling anything different. You aren't conducting yourself any way different than you were in your mind, than you were in your vision, than you are in your heaven. You aren't conducting yourself in any other way. I don't care what you see. I don't care what you look around and see. I don't care about the storms that are over you, man. I don't care about the worldly details, man. You have to conduct yourself as things are in heaven, as I believe the Bible says in some version, King James or somewhere. Conduct yourself as if things are in heaven. But this is the challenge, man. This is the challenge. The challenge is once you put yourself in a state of solitude, it becomes a lot more easier. But the challenge is making this work or fulfilling this mission when you're still operating amongst, you know, just people, places, and things of the world. Because every single person, place, and thing is gonna be showing you, or is gonna be a representation of that current world when you're living from somewhere else. So it's a constant reminder, man. It's you having to constantly remind yourself of what the vision is. And for a lot of people, man, that's constant meditation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, whether you got your whole day lined out, you got your workout, the gym in the morning, you got the date, you got work, you got throughout all these things, man. I'll just say it like this. And this is what I share with my brothers in the circle all the time, man, or what we share amongst each other. This is what I say, man. Like, and everybody feels different about this. The whole point of, and I'll combine the words, the whole point of meditation / visualization, the whole point of going into that sacred space throughout the day, man, and spending 5-10 minutes in that vision, the whole point is simply to remember. Because think about this, as soon as you create this vision and you come back out in this world and you go into meditation, you come back out in this world, after that first day, it's going to be like, man, that feels good. But you're going to feel that pull from you. You're going to say, hey, you know what? When I come out of that meditation session, I'm somebody else. Like I'm my old version of myself. That's natural. Like so the whole point of you meditating and going to that space several times throughout the day, several times throughout the week, is to bridge that gap. Because what you'll understand is every time you go into that space and spend a little time, you're more of that version when you come back into this world. You're more of that version when you come. It's kind of like if you go hang out if you go hang out anywhere, if you go hang out around a group of people. I don't want to say a bad group, anybody, a group of high vibrating people. Every time you go hang out with them and come back, you're gonna be a little bit more high vibrational. And after a couple of weeks, a couple of months, you spending time with them, you're gonna be just like them. Like the conversations they have, the plays they call, the moves they make, you're gonna be just like that after a while, just by being in that environment. So what I'm saying is, man, when you first create that vision, the most important thing is you spending as much time in that environment as possible. Which means, hey, tonight you might not be able to watch basketball or football or whatever. You might not be able to catch up on the soap operas or whatever, because you got to do that internal work. You got to spend time in that place. Yeah, you might want to go cut the PlayStation on. You might want to go watch a little Netflix, but tonight I got to work. I got to really identify with the frequency inside of my mind. And what you'll notice, the first thing you'll notice is this. This is when you'll know things are transitioning. The first thing you'll start noticing after you go back and forth between these two spaces, you'll be meditating some days, man, and you'll come out of that meditation, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes. And you'll come out, man, and you'll get to function in this world, or you'll get done meditating, and you'll say, you know what? Like a lot of times when I meditate, I set my alarm. You'll have that alarm will go off, and you'll say to yourself, man, I got to get 5 more minutes because that world feels so much better than my current reality. That's when that real hard transition, like that's when you're really starting to fall in love. And I mean, what I'm really saying is, that's when you really start to get heavily emotionally involved in that world. That's when things are getting ready to take place. You know what I'm saying? Where you can get in that world and you're having emotional responses. Like one of the greatest feelings, man, is when I'm in my meditation, man, and I something funny happens, and I quote unquote wake myself up out of it because I'm laughing, or because I'm happy because something is taking place. Like all my emotional energy, which is creative energy, is over there in that spiritual world. Oh, that's when you're moving mountains now, man. So the first thing is, going back to where I was, you'll come out of your meditation and you'll say, man, that world feels so good. Let me put 5 more minutes in there. Boom, and go back into that place and reside there, right? But again, the whole point of you going back and forth to that meditation is just that, so every time you come out of it, you grasp that much more of that frequency. And at some point, one day you're going to wake up, and one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be halfway throughout your day, right? And you're going to say, you know what? I broke my ritual. Like for some reason, I forgot to meditate this morning. You didn't forget. You didn't forget. What's taking place when you do that, man, is you've brought so much of that frequency for so long that now you've matched it. Like when you come out of your meditation, it's no different than when you were in it. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I say, you're meditating in real time now. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like back when we were young. Go to grandmama and them house, or your auntie house, or maybe your mom and daddy, right? You going in and out of the house, you playing basketball, and they be like, keep that door closed. Don't be coming in and out of the house. The whole purpose of them saying that wasn't just because they didn't want you cooling off, and then they wanted you to be in a good state. But what they were saying is, hey, there's a certain temperature outside that I don't want inside of here. Like it might be 95 degrees, 100 degrees if you in Texas, and it's 72, it's 68 degrees in the house. It's not that I don't want you coming in and out. I don't want that frequency to be in here, because once that frequency is in here, it's going to be like I'm just out. It's going to be like I'm outside even when I'm inside. It's the same theory. So you going back and forth between those two worlds. What you're trying to do is, like I said, bridge the gap. You're trying to leave that door open. You're purposely trying to leave that door open so there's no difference of frequencies. And when there's no difference of frequencies, think about this. When there's no difference of frequencies, you can only get, think about this, you can only get in life what you're putting out, meaning your actions, your behaviors, your thoughts, your demeanor. That's what governs this world. Somebody else might say it's something else. Trust me, what governs your world is your actions, your thoughts, your demeanors, everything in that category, man. So if you've been able to adopt the frequency, if you've been able to adopt the mindset, the actions, the behaviors that you had when you were in heaven, and you're bringing it down here, think about what's taking place now. Now you have no option but to create that thing, a singular truth. In other words, God, in other words, the world, in other words, creation process can give you nothing except what you are. There is no other alternative. You know what I'm saying? You aren't walking in fear and lack and doubt on this physical plane, but then getting in your mind, and now you're one with God. Now you're one with God 24 hours a day. Now you're one with God nonstop. So the energy you're moving in, the faith you're moving in, the actions you're moving in, it's about to come see you, bro. It's about to come see you. But the thing is, man, this is when it gets down to this. And this is very important, man. It comes down to this. We have to go from, at that point in time, we have to go from believing something to actually knowing something, because there's a difference. And I know we talk belief a lot in the spiritual and religious sectors, and belief is good because belief at least separates you from the pack. But belief is saying, hey, I believe something to be true, but not really enough to just put my whole existence on it. Like, I believe it to be true, but I'm not going to put my, in other words, if I say, hey, brothers, meet me here on YouTube. I'm going to have a video dropping tomorrow at 9 o'clock a.m. Be there, be square, right? You're going to say, hey, you know what? I believe so. Like, I believe Soul said he's going to make a video at 9 o'clock in the morning. Odds are he's going to do it. Unless something happens, he's going to do it. I believe it, but you ain't going to stand on it. In other words, going from belief to knowing. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna put your life, you're not gonna put your bottom dollar, you're not gonna put the well-being of everything that you know on me being here at 9 o'clock in the morning, but you believe me. So what I'm saying, man, when we talk about the whole creation process, when we talk about the source of all things, man, God, we have to start knowing that God is God. We have to start knowing that if we put that work in, and I'm talking about internal work and the physical work, we have to know that we put that work in, man, that God is going to do his part. You know what I'm saying? But get back to what I was saying, because this is just a whole circle conversation, man. Your best advisor is going to always be you. It's always going to be that best version of you, man, because, you know, you can go to somebody, man. Like I have a lot of friends, man, that are very good at what they do, very successful at what they do, you know, and we may swap ideas. They may come to me for advice. I go to them for advice, and advice is cool, but what you're gonna take the stand on, it has to be yours. It has to come from that deeper version of you, because again, everybody's vision is not yours. Like a lot of people are gonna give you advice and guidance based on what they know, based on what they've gone through. And that's valuable information, but it's not tapping into universal mind, nor is it tapping into the frequency of your vision, right? So all I'm saying in a nutshell, man, is the highest version of you will always be your best advisors, brother.